You have, man. You've been saying that they're gonna be the number 2 seed. So you definitely been being a hype beast for them. So the Rockets right now 12-4. They beat the Suns. They lost to the Raptors this week though. But Chris Paul has returned. CP trash. Fuck Chris Paul. You already know it. He's returned. So go ahead and talk to me what you think about the Raptors.
It was the Suns. Let's keep all this context. It was the Suns. But they had 90 fucking points in the first half. I don't care. The Suns are still an NBA team. You put up 90 points in them in one half. And the thing that I like is Harden still had 40 in that game, if I'm not mistaken?
He had 48.
Harden still had 48, and
Chris
Harden
Paul had 11 and 10, I think.
11 and 10, but that's what you want from Chris Paul. You don't even need.
That's terrible, though.
It's not terrible.
Like I told you, you're relegating him to a situational point guard.
Listen. First of all, Chris Paul is 32 years old now. He's up in age. He's old, and also Chris Paul has a tendency to not be healthy. I don't know if I even want Chris Paul out there giving me 35 minutes a night, me asking him to do everything on the court, which is why I said he would be nice as a Spur, because Pop keeps every 1 minute to about 30 minutes a game. So even if he is one of the main options on offense, he's only going to play 30 minutes a night. He's going to preserve his body. The thing that I like, which is why I said Chris Paul will help, is that when it was just Harden, that means that when Harden, which is why Harden was averaging 38 minutes a night, was because when he went to the bench, you really had no real point guard, especially this year because you traded Patrick Beverley. So when he goes to the bench, Eric Gordon runs point guard. Eric Gordon is not a good point guard. Eric Gordon wants to come in and shoot the fuck out the basketball. That's what Eric Gordon wants to do, not initiate nothing.
Harden is still averaging 36.2 minutes per game this series. Just for context, go ahead.
Yes, but I think with Chris Paul being in there, that could drop to at least 34 if they wanted it to. 34, 33, which would take you down a lot in minutes played in the standings, I would assume. And the thing that Chris Paul that you can do is run him with the second unit. So that way your offense never loses any steam ever. The offense, the pace is the same all damn game. And I don't care what none of y'all say, Chris Paul can shoot. Now granted, he may not be able to shoot as good as a Harden or even as good as an Eric Gordon, but Chris Paul can shoot. You cannot leave Chris Paul open. Chris Paul can even hit contested threes when he's hot. Chris Paul can still score the basketball. Now, maybe not like he could when he was 25 years old with New Orleans, but Chris Paul can still score the basketball. I like Chris Paul for this team. Also, you don't bring in Chris Paul for November. You bring in Chris Paul.
No, you don't bring him in for May.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't. Because you're not getting there if you bring him in for that shit.
Listen.
You're not getting anywhere near close to May or June if you bring Chris Paul in for that reason.
Listen.
Your ass is going home in April.
No.
Early April.
The one thing I know about Chris Paul, even though it hasn't always worked out, is Chris Paul will come in and Chris Paul will compete.
It's never worked out.
Listen. Chris Paul is a dog. Chris Paul will come in and compete. Also, it's gonna be situations. Listen, it's also gonna be situations. You can't just jack up threes in the playoffs. You need to play a half-court game and have someone to settle things down at some point in time in the playoffs, which Chris Paul can do. Settle the game down. Also, Chris Paul can work the mid-range area. He's a very good mid-range shooter. He can work the mid-range area. You need to take some mid-range jumpers because sometimes you're not going to be able to get all the way to the rim and you're not going to be able to shoot a three. Again, last year with the Spurs, all they did was run them off the three-point line and let them come to the basket and do this because
Chris
they knew.
Paul not stopping it though.
Yes, he will. He will settle that down. He can work the mid-range area. When you go on a thing and let's say a team is on a 10-0 run and you just jacking up threes and you missing them, Chris Paul can come in, hold on, wait, settle this down. Let me get an easy look for somebody or let me get an easy look for myself in a mid-range game. I think Chris Paul helps this team a lot.
What do you think about Chris Paul as a player? I'm a firm believer. I don't like Chris Paul. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's the most overrated player in NBA history. He has never made it out of the second round. He is considered to be a top 5 point guard of all time, but shows no results and only puts up meaningless stats that don't mean anything when the game actually matters in the playoffs. What do you think about Chris Paul? That's just a quick summarization of what I think about Chris Paul.
Strong feelings. Yeah, I mean, he chokes a lot.
I don't think he chokes.
I think, I mean, just thinking back to when he first got into the league, he got really. What helped his brand was when he used to hang out with LeBron and Dwayne Wade a lot. He was part of that clique. So I think that had a lot to do with that. Obviously, he put up the stats to be considered good, but it helped when you're hanging out with like the best. Like that was like the Rat Pack. You know what I mean? Like
Nah, you wildin', bro.
Yo,
incredible.
Thank you.
But
I didn't even realize that Chris Paul don't even belong in a banana boat.
But
he don't even belong in a banana boat. Go ahead.
I think if you're gonna have like a veteran player just come and join a team that already kind of like likes playing with each other and you know they have their ups and downs together. Why not be a point guard? Like he said, he can slow it down. He even though he chokes, he still knows how to play a regular season game. So he knows how.
Yeah, but he just said that they brought him in for the playoffs.
I don't even think he chokes. Game 7 last year was bad, of course.
So hold up. So if Chris Paul, even in his best seasons, if you would have got like an MVP award, even though he choked, would you have been happy with that?
He should have had an MVP. Kobe's MVP should belong to Chris Paul. I've said this 1,000 times. They won one less game, literally one less game. He had way less talent on the court than what Kobe had with him, and he averaged 22, 10, 4, and 2, and he's 6 feet, maybe 6 feet. The only year I give Chris Paul shit for. Only year is when you go up 3-1, because if you go up 3-1, I don't give a fuck what happens. You should never lose that series.
No.
Chris Paul is 6 feet. When you are that small, there are certain things that you dead ass cannot do on the basketball court. And also, he's not as athletic as some guys, and he can't shoot like Steph.
Sorry, I got to sneeze.
So there are some things on the basketball court that you just cannot do. Again, the thing I saw in the Cavalier game, Cavs versus Clippers, was Blake not closing out the game. Blake sometimes does not realize, yo, I am Blake Griffin. If I get on the block, can't nobody do shit with me. There were times when he would get the ball and shoot some dumbass fadeaway. He had somebody on him. He had like Corver on him, I think, and shot a fadeaway. I'm like, boy, if you don't put your elbow in that man, spin, go to the rim, and dunk all on that man, the hell is wrong with you? Why are you shooting fadeaways when the game is on the line and shooting sweeping hooks? The hell is wrong with you?
I think that goes against your point about Chris Paul being like a really good player, because as a point guard, you should be able to control the rest of your team.
No, you can't control the rest of you. If a man want to go out there who is physically imposing over half the league and shoot fucking fadeaways, what the hell you finna do about that?
Tell him stop.
Chris Paul tried to, but Chris Paul's way of leadership was not a good way, which is why Chris Paul said he didn't like the culture, because he couldn't connect with those younger guys. He comes from a slightly older generation of basketball players, and these new young guys who are about building brands and social media stuff.
Right.
Chris Paul built his brand, but his brand was more so built in the traditional aspect before the digital age. So these new guys were brands that dating Kendall Jenner and all these people. Chris Paul married with 2 kids and a wife. Like, when he not trying to go out to the club, he fucking trying to get them to go bowling and shit, and mad at them because they don't want to go bowling. Like, if I'm 25, rich, and I live in Hollywood, I don't want to fucking go bowling. No. Let's go out.
And even still, again, going back to that game, DJ in the first quarter literally looked like Prime Shaq, dead ass. Go back and watch the first quarter of the Clippers Cavaliers game, dead ass for 20 minutes. He looked like Prime Shaq. He was catching lobs on people, rebounding everything. They was giving that man the ball in the post, and he developed post moves somehow for 20 minutes.
I told you they have to give him more touches.
No,
I bet you they didn't go to him in the second half.
No, they went to him. They just started playing him differently, and they started doubling him. And then when they started doubling him, he was like, "Oh shit, I don't know what to do no more."
He has to continue to. But
they were playing him 1-on-1 with Kevin Love, and he was destroying Kevin Love. And then they switched up how they played things a little bit. But that's why I don't give Chris Paul too much shit. Besides the year that you go up 3-1, you go up 3-1, you should never lose. Also, Game 7 last year, it was a Game 7. You can't come out and play that bad. But by that time, I think it was pretty much over. But Chris Paul in a situation now. I don't think he's ever had as many weapons around him as he has now. He's never played with a player as good as Harden. Never. And I don't know if he's ever had a coach as good as D'Antoni. Actually, no. I know he never had a coach as good as D'Antoni. Never. Especially an offensive coach. Doc Rivers is not as good of a coach as D'Antoni. I don't give a fuck that Doc Rivers got a ring and D'Antoni don't. D'Antoni changed, as you say, D'Antoni changed the way you play basketball. Doc Rivers ain't never changed the way you done shit, and they gave about 3-3-1 leads.
Yeah, Doc Rivers sucks.
Okay. Let's move on.